I expected this to be that rebuild type thing, build that foundation, move forward. But they've shown already that they're better than just that. But still, that's your ultimate goal is to come out, like you were saying, if you come out this year knowing you got your quarterback, that's a number one plus. I think we know that we have a guy who's very capable, and we can say, "Yes, it's our quarterback." Injuries and stuff could change anything, but the ultimate thing is we know the guy has it to be able to be the guy you need. But once you start winning, I think everybody loses their mind. They begin to try to move the goalposts in a sense. To me, it's still a year where you are rebuilding, getting this thing where you want it to be. Damn camera goes where it want to go sometimes. But when you watch the game yesterday, I think, like you said, they showed resilience. They showed that they're not afraid. They showed that this moment is not too big for them. But they also, I think they learned you can't make mistakes against very good teams. Because the mistakes that they make, like the Ravens gave them opportunities several times, and they didn't capitalize.
They couldn't get much going. And I think, like, when we were leaving last night, you and I talked for a while in the tunnel there, and I think offensively, Washington had too many 3 and outs.
Yeah.
And I think defensively, and this is where I think we're all caught up in the record and Jaden right now. But defensively, we knew that the secondary could be an issue. And going into this game, my biggest concern was I don't think they're going to be able to slow down Derrick Henry. Sure enough, they weren't able to slow down Derrick Henry. Late in that game, Henry iced it away. And that's when we discuss that this is still a long-term rebuild, that's the kind of stuff you're discussing.
Yeah.
Now, Jaden may have hit the accelerator on all of it because he's an absolute baller. But if you look at the late game scenarios when they had to get a stop and they couldn't,
Yeah.
and Derrick Henry, they went 9 plays, 57 yards, 6 minutes of game time. After Washington cut it to a score, 6 minutes of game time.
Yeah.
And they're able to kick that field goal. I'm still a little surprised Harbaugh didn't go for it. 4th and 2, just run Henry again.
Yeah.
Now, because you make it 2 scores, I understand why he didn't. But
I think the absence
like the
of
next step is getting a stop there and getting the ball back.
true. People look at this game, and I think as an offense, they go, well, like we were talking about Brian Robinson. I think Brian Robinson, what you saw with Derrick Henry early yesterday, they were handling him early, but they kept running him. And what happens over time when a guy is that size and a guy that can run like a Brian Robinson, the violence that they run with, as the game goes on, people start second guessing hitting those guys. And then in the end, they've been hitting you with body blows all game. All of a sudden now, they can hit you right in the head and knock you out. I think that part was missing of Brian Robinson yesterday. Austin Eckler is very, very capable. McNichols is very capable.
He didn't get the carries I
He
expected.
didn't. I thought he would too.
He'd get red zone carries.
But I think those guys are not the battering rams that a Brian Robinson is.
I think not having B-Rob was a significant factor. Washington could not get the run game going.
Yeah.
And if you really want to boil this down to what the Ravens offense did better, it was third downs. Baltimore was 6 of 10 on third down. Washington was 4 of 12. In turn, they dominate time of possession. They possess the football 36 minutes to Washington's 24. And if you look just at the running backs, remove Jaden's carries, right? Because some of those are designed, some of those are scrambles. He wasn't particularly effective on the ground either. Just the backs in this game had 11 carries for 30 yards.
Yeah.
You're probably not winning.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah.
It's
very much not.
And I think Baltimore had a good game plan in this thing. I think defensively with Zay Flowers just absolutely cooking you.
Yeah.
Zay Flowers at halftime had 7 for 111.
Yeah, he had a field day. He had a field day yesterday.
And dude, when I talk about now with other teams, anytime you get over 50, you're losing. Anytime you're probably over 40 or 45, you're probably losing. Now, some of this is game flow, but like pass attempts matter. How you control an offense, the efficiency of your offense matters. I'm not sure it's a surprise that yesterday was the most pass attempts that Jaden's had as a pro.
No, it wasn't.
He's at
I
35.
mean, they ran the
In their
ball.
wins, they're at like
They a
27.
total of less than 20 carries yesterday running the ball.
11.
I'm saying over as for both for
Oh, for
the whole,
everybody,
it's less than 20, right?
it was 20, and I guess Terry had a carry.
Yeah,
Maybe he caught a backwards pass. I don't remember a Terry
I
run
think it
play,
was
but I
a
could be
backwards
wrong.
pass.
Maybe they ran a little jet, but it was the official book has Terry listed as 1 carry for 0 yards.
Yeah,
Um, there's flaws here, right? Like, listen, I think you could walk away from that loss encouraged, but recognize that Baltimore was the better team.
yeah,
That doesn't mean a month from now, 2 months from now, whatever. Like the universe evolves day by day. People make progress or they go backwards. And I think Washington is making progress. I think
totally. I agree.
when you cannot run the ball and you don't have your best runner, Eckler is an absolutely dynamic threat. But I do think maybe we saw that Eckler's dynamism. What is the adverb I'm looking for dynamic? His ability to be dynamic on the field might be aided by having Brian Robinson's ability on the field as well.
It's a combination. Like you put Brian out there, he beats him. They start getting worn, and then Eckler comes in with his quickness and things of that nature. But I think it threw some of the game planning off with Brian not being in there. I just saw a different flow than I would normally see when B Rob's in the game.
Agreed. I also think John Allen going down late in that game. They were down 2 D linemen in the second half of that game.
Mhm.
Allen goes down, and I think there's some real concern there with a pec injury when they're immediately able to rule him out.
Mhm.
Like, I've been in enough press boxes, like I've heard this enough times that generally it's like the PA guy makes the announcement, Bill Staley, ankle, questionable to return.
Mhm.
And then if they're out, it's usually like 15 minutes later, Bill Staley, ankle, out for the game.
Mhm.
Usually there's like a period where you're getting checked out by trainers or whatever.
Mhm.
This one was just out. Maybe it's nothing. Who knows?
Yeah,
They're going
but
to get
like
the MRI.
certain injuries, you don't want to prolong. You don't want to go out there again because that injury can go south real quick. Ankles and things like that, sprained ankles, yeah, guys could probably, get taped a certain way, get some miracle medication, and they can go back out there and run. That pec, if you get an injury to that and you go back out there and that thing goes anymore, you may be out for the rest of the season. So you gotta be careful with things like
Sure.
that. Yeah.
And we don't know anything until the MRI, so that's fine. Good morning to the folks in the stream. Appreciate you joining us. Appreciate Jeff getting the stream up and running after he had verbal altercations with both Junkies producers.
Hey,
I
man.
do want to open the phones. I want to let everybody react. I think from a straight game flow yesterday, Flowers was killing them early. They were able to generate that turnover. I was happy for Sammer still.
Mikey.
I saw early on in that game, I think eventually you get a little beat up. But early on in that game, when the Ravens were clearly trying to attack the edges in the run game, Sammer still over and over the willingness to be hyper competitive
Yeah.
as a run attacker. Like, so people understand when the Ravens are running that toss sweep, that like power sweep out to the edges, and you're the corner, you're basically like your job is to be cannon fodder.
Yeah.
Like your job is to run up and take on the lead blocker.
Yeah.
And Sammerstill's what? 5'10", 175?
Mikey's about 190.
Yeah, he's thick. You're right. But I mean, when he's taking on a pulling guard or a tackle, or
Well,
I mean,
he's
Raven,
undersized for that.
right? But a lot of life, like a lot of things, are about a willingness, and I think he shows. Dude, they list him at 5'10", 180.
All right.
Okay. Derrick Henry's what, 6'5", 250?
Yeah, too big.
But
Too big to be a damn running back.
When he's able to come up and fill that, go low, man. And even
you can't go low no more. You can't go low on the offensive lineman. You go low on the running back, but the offensive lineman, corners will come in and submarine. Right. You can hit him up this area. So I think what you do, you go full speed and hit him right on his upper thigh.
Yeah, and then what Sammer still did is if he would be, say the tight end would have him engaged, he would kind of give his body up in a manner that just blows the play up.
Yeah.
If you can get down and impede their momentum, and then you've got this clump of humanity there,
Yeah.
then the guard can't get past it. I was really impressed with Mikey in that game. And when you look at this rookie class, Brady Coleman didn't have his best day yesterday, but there's a willingness and an eagerness. And then when I was in the locker room after the game and you listen to what these guys said and are saying, it was the exact right tone after that loss. But nobody, there have been times where people have been okay with losses because it's like, oh man, we weren't going to win here.
Yeah,
That wasn't the case.
I think the tone I take from it is they didn't leave feeling like we were destroyed. They left feeling like we were in this thing. We can't make those mistakes. And I think that's exactly what it was. If anybody want to make it any different, then you're crazy. That wasn't a game where you looked at it and went like, oh, yeah, they were out-manhandled. No, outmanned. No, they weren't. But you can't make mistakes in situations like that because this game, like we always say, it's 4 or 5 plays that you make or you don't make, and that decides the game. And when you get an interception down to the red zone and you leave with 3 instead of 7, that's a loss in a sense. You know what I mean? And then when you get the ball down there again and you get the ball very near the goal line, you got to go for a 7 again. I mean, for 3 points again, that's not successful. You got to get that in the end zone,
especially when you know the other guys are probably going to get it in the end zone. Yeah, I mean, if you look at just the drive chart to open with a field goal after the pick, like you mentioned, B, is tough. Really heads up play by Samerstill, just to balls up in the air, get it, bring it home.
Mm-hmm.
They go 7 plays, 25 yards, all they can muster, only 1 first down, and they have to kick instead of scoring. Imagine if they jump out to a 7-0 lead. How different
it changed things a little bit
because they didn't hold the lead. I don't believe they held the lead again. So then they had to punt on their next 2 possessions. Baltimore's able to tie it with a field goal. And then one thing I've been really impressed by, and I continue to like how they're operating, just the aggressiveness at the end of the first half. Every time.
Oh, yeah. They go for it. They don't just sit back.
They were calling timeouts while the Ravens had the ball on offense to try to conserve time. And when you've got a weapon like Jaden, a guy that can really run a 2-minute hurry up, they kind of run a 2-minute hurry up regularly.
Yeah.
It's not hurry up. It's not no huddle.
They don't huddle.
It's not no huddle, but there's tempo for sure.
Tempo, they stay at the line, and that makes people have to be cognizant of it.
So people understand, I get that this is a frustrating point. The rule in the NFL is if you sub, no matter how fast you're going offensively, if you sub, you then have to allow the defense to sub. And that's fair. It's the rule. It's been the rule a long time. And I know that sometimes watching, it seems like the offense is being held up by the referees. It's because they subbed. If you keep the same personnel out there, they can't make a change.